In the quiet desert morning, where the wind begins to rise, a man stands firm with destiny reflected in his eyes. The tents behind him whisper of a journey long and wide, but Abraham, God's chosen, keeps the fire burning inside. He left his father's city when the Lord called out his name, walked by faith into the unknown with no promise of acclaim. And every step he took became a testament so true that when a man walks with the Lord will walk with him too. Oh, Abraham, teach us courage, teach us trust. Oh, Abraham, he was the man who walked with God, who held the stars within his knot, the father of the promised land, a pilgrim guided by God's hand. Through every tear, through every trial, he learned God's love is never fragile. Abraham, oh Abraham, your covenant fire still lights our way. The test of the mountain, on a lonely mountain rising, with a trembling in his soul, Abraham faced the greatest test that heaven ever stole. His son beside him wondered at the silence in the air, but Abraham kept climbing, knowing angels would be there. The knife was raised towards sacrifice, the hardest choice to make. Yet Abraham proved faithful, no command was too great. The Lord then cried from heaven, lay not thy hand upon the boy. And Abraham learned holy fear, and God returned holy joy. Oh, Abraham, teach us obedience, teach us love. Oh, Abraham, he was the man who walked with God, who held the stars within his knot, the father of the promised land, a pilgrim guided by God's hand. Through every tear, through every trial, he learned God's love is never fragile. Abraham, oh Abraham, your covenant fire still lights our way. A father to nations, from Ur to Canaan, from altars of stone, his faith became the seed from which nations have grown. The promise of the priesthood, the keys of the skies, the stars without number before his lifted eyes. He teaches the humble, the broken, the brave, that God will always keep the promises he gave. And when darkness rises, when hope seems gone, Abraham whispers, the Lord will provide. Go on. Eternal final covenant, he was the man who walked with God, whose footsteps prophets laid trod. A crown of faith, a life refined, a friend of God for all mankind. A desert wind, a whispered name, a promise kept, forever flame.
The silent stone of Machpelah, in the stillness of the cave, where shadows brushed the ground, a man of God knelt trembling. Where no comfort could be found, the dust of earth beneath his knees, a lifetime in his hands, he whispered Sarah's name again across the silent land.
For even prophets bleed with grief, even giants learn to fall, and heaven watched a father's heart break softly through it all. When Abraham wept, this is when Abraham wept. When love became a prayer, his tears like living offerings upon the desert air. The covenant he carried felt heavier that day, but God was in his mourning and held him where he lay. This is when Abraham wept, and heaven wept with him. Traced the cloth around her form, remembered years of faith, the journeys through the wilderness,
The promises God gave, he saw the stars God showed him once, still burning overhead. And though she slept in mortal dust, his soul refused to dread.
For love is forged in sacrifice,
still echoed in that cave.
When Abraham wept, this is when Abraham wept. When sorrow kissed his face, yet in that holy aching he felt the Lord's embrace. For loss is not the ending, nor death the final flame. The God who made the promise would raise her up again. This is when Abraham wept, and faith was born anew.
Lessons of Abraham,
He taught the world obedience
when no one else believed.
He walked into the fire
And found his soul redeemed. He
showed that trust means everything when heaven's voices fade. In covenant, hearts stand strongest when mortal strength grows weak.
tears of the covenant.
This is when Abraham wept, and angels stood in awe. For grief in righteous servants is precious unto God.
He mourned, but not as hopeless one, for he knew promises sure,
That
Sarah would rise glorious, that love and life endure. This is when
quiet of the evening, when the desert stars awake, two weary hearts remember dreams they thought God would forsake. Sarah's hands were trembling as she held the years gone by, and Abraham kept watching for a promise in the sky.
They walked through endless silence, through the seasons growing old, but faith became their dwelling place when hope felt faint and cold.
And then one sacred morning, when the heavens felt so near, a cry broke through the stillness, and joy erased their fear.
Oh, Abraham,
teach us patience, teach us trust.
the miracle child,
He is the child of laughter, born when hope felt gone,
the promise kept by God Himself, the dawn after the longest dawn.
Isaac, gift of heaven, light in their trembling hands,
A living, breathing covenant
for all of Abraham's lands.
Sarah held her miracle, her tears became a song, a melody of mercy she had waited for so long.
Her voice broke into laughter as she softly said His name. For all who hear shall laugh with me, for God removed my shame.
Every wrinkle told a story, every line a sacred price, but joy had made her younger now, her eyes were paradise.
And Abraham beside her raised a cup toward the sky, for the God who made the promise was the God who cannot lie.
Oh, Abraham,
Teach us covenant faith, teach us gratitude.
the miracle child,
He is the child of laughter, born when hope felt gone,
the promise kept by God Himself, the dawn after the longest dawn.
Isaac, gift of heaven, light in their trembling hands,
A living, breathing covenant
for all of Abraham's lands.
faith refined through fire, from famine, exile, and altars of stone, to angels who promised they'd never walk alone.
God shaped their story with tenderness rare, and proved His timing is perfect in prayer. Isaac would carry the covenant flame, the nations unborn would rise from His name. And Abraham whispered while holding him near, the Lord kept His word, we have nothing to fear.
He is the child,
He is the child of light, born to a world of grace,
proof that God remembers every promise He makes.
Isaac, joy of angels, heaven's rays shine.
The covenant is living,
The promise still divine. A father's son, a father's smile, a mother's grace, a God who kept the impossible. A father's smile, a mother's grace, a God who kept the impossible. her breathing soft and slow. A prophet knelt beside his wife with eyes that felt the weight of years untold. Her hands were frail within his own, yet steady as the dawn, and all the promises of God still whispered they'd hold on.
For hope is born in quiet rooms where tears and courage meet,
and faith survives the longest nights when hearts refuse defeat. The promise in her hands, he held the promise in her hands.
those storms that stretched them thin,
He prayed the God of Abraham would breathe his strength again.
for every word the Lord had spoken
Still burned within their bones. He held the promise in her hands and whispered, "You're not alone."
Sarah's silent courage, her eyes were closed but full of faith. Her spirit calm and true, she'd walk through barren wilderness,
Believing God would do exactly what he said he'd do. When stars filled up the sky, and though her body weakened now,
her hope refused to die.
for Sarah knew what heaven meant when angels came to stay, that miracles are forged in wells where mortal strength gives way. The promise in her hands, he held the promise in her hands.
Though time had worn them worn,
He prayed the God who parted seas would give her life reborn.
for covenant hearts don't fade away.
They rise when tested most. He held the promise in her hands with faith in Holy Ghost. Lessons of Abraham to trust when nothing changes. This is Abraham's test, to love when fear is whispering,
To wait when heaven rests,
to hold to God's commandments, though mountains block the view. For faith is built in valleys before the light breaks through. When God remembers, he held the promise in her hands,
and heaven held them both.
for God remembers every tear and every faithful oath. The child of stars was coming still, though neither knew just how. He held the promise in her hands, and God was holding them right now. Right now. And God was holding them right now. desert wind was whispering through the endless ancient sand, and Abraham stood alone again with questions in his hands. Years had carved their stories on his weathered, faithful face, but still he walked where God had led, upheld by unseen grace. Every promise felt so distant, every prayer a fragile flame, yet heaven called him gently by the echo of his name.
Come forth into the stillness, lift your eyes and see.
The future I have spoken shall be born through thee.
Oh, Abraham,
teach us to stand
when the night is long.
Teach us to trust when hope feels gone. Count the stars if you can.
Oh, count the stars if you can. Every light a promised child, every spark a covenant story written across the wild. Count the stars if you can. Your posterity will rise. Through your faith the world is blessed. Through your seed all nations find the promise of the sky. Heaven's whisper, he lifted up his weary eyes toward heaven's jeweled sea, and every star was shining with a whispered prophecy. The God who formed creation, who had shaped the dust of man, stood beside his servant, whispering, my word will always stand. Abraham felt the fire of faith burn deeper than before. He knew the God who called his name would open every door. And there beneath the starlight, in the silence of the night, he believed, and heaven wrote his name in everlasting light.
Teach us to sky.
Teach us obedience is quiet
Teach
strength.
us obedience, quiet strength.
Oh.
Count the stars if you can.
Oh, count the stars if you can. Every light a promised child, every spark a covenant story written across the wild. Count the stars if you can. Your posterity will rise. Through your faith the world is blessed. Through your seed all nations find the promise of the sky. Tribes born of tears, through prophets and wanderings and thousands of years, the covenant lived unbroken, unchanged. For what God has spoken cannot be restrained. And now in our day that promise is ours. Same endless scars. Abraham's God remembers his word. Every prayer is heard.
with power, truth, and love. Count the stars if you can, for your life is in His hand. He will fulfill what He has spoken, just as He said to Abraham, beneath the endless land. When the night grows dark, lift your eyes. He remembers. He always remembers. The weight of the rope, the morning sun was rising on the dust of Canaan's land. A prophet gripped a weathered rope with calloused, willing hands. Though promises were endless, the labor still was real. For every covenant God gives is watered first with seal. And the well beneath was ancient, like the oath God swore above, a place where heaven touched the earth with sacrifice and love. The water that faith drew, this is the water that faith drew, from the wells of yesterday, where Abraham, though weary, chose to serve instead of sway. For every drop he lifted was a testament of truth. God remembers every servant, and the water faith once true.
A father's quiet teaching a child watched closely by his side. A servant stood behind, all learning from a patriarch what faith in God defined. Not crowns nor earthly
Titles, not thrones or kingly might, but drawing water humbly in the early morning light. For Abraham knew heaven grows in ordinary days, in buckets filled with mercy and in unseen acts of praise. The water that faith drew, this is the water that faith drew, from a heart refined by grace, a prophet serving willingly in His sacred chosen place. For every oath God made Him still echoed strong and true. He blessed the world in silence with the water faith once true. The wells of promise, wells of Beersheba witness this, a covenant sealed in stone that Abraham, God's chosen friend, would never walk alone. From Genesis to Aether, the faithful rise and stand. For miracles are nourished by the work of human hands. Heaven meets the well, this is the water that faith drew, and the Lord drew near as well. For heaven drinks the offering of every servant's well, and promises flow freely Abraham changed the ages with the water faith once true. The water that faith 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 true. The quiet before the miracle, in the stillness of morning, where the desert wind sighed, Abraham stood trembling as his family gathered close by his side. Their faces turned toward heaven, their hands folded tight. They sought the God of promise in the cool of fading night. Their fears were not forgotten, their tears not brushed away. But Abraham the father gently taught them how to pray to the God who made the heavens, to the God who formed our days. We lift our hearts together, Lord, remember us, we pray. Oh, Abraham,
Teach us how to kneel,
teach us how to trust when we cannot see what's real. When Abraham prayed, the heavens bowed low. The God of all creation let his tender mercy flow. When Abraham prayed, the angels took their stand. For faith like his can move the world and bless a broken land. When Abraham prayed, heaven heard, heaven heard. A prayer for generations. The mother's voice was gentle, the children's eyes were closed, and Abraham felt heaven's fire burning as he rose. He prayed for every promise, every star and every name, for children still unborn who someday yet would claim the covenant of mercy, the blessing of the Lord, the nations and the prophets who would come by his word. He prayed for strength in trials, he prayed for peace and strife. He prayed that every heart he loved would walk the path of life. Oh, Abraham, teach us to believe, teach us that the promises are more than we can see. When Abraham prayed, the heavens bowed low. The God of all creation let his tender mercy flow. When Abraham prayed, the angels took their stand. For faith like his can move the world and heal a weary land. When Abraham prayed, heaven heard, heaven heard. children of the light. We rise because he knelt that day. His faith became our sight. Heaven still hears when Abraham prayed. 1,000 years awoke. The chains of doubt were broken by the words the prophet spoke. When Abraham prayed, the future took its place, and every star in heaven shone the mercy of God's grace. And when we kneel today, heaven hears us too. For the God who heard Abraham still remembers me and you. Oh, so teach us, Lord of ages, to pray as Abraham prayed, with faith that moves the mountains, with hearts that are not afraid. When voices arose, the plains of Canaan trembled with quarreling in the air. Two families divided by contention's heavy snare. Yet Abraham stepped forward, a fire within his eyes, not anger born of prideful wrath, but love that never dies.
He said, let there be no strife between your house and mine, for we are brethren bound by God, and peace is God's design.
The hand that ended the war, this is hand that ended the war. The hand that let go of more and more.
Where others fought for earth and sand, a prophet offered up the land. For heaven's victories never start with hardened fists or bitter hearts, but in the choice to love once more, in the hand that ended the war. Lot chose the Jordan Valley. Lot lifted up his vision toward greener shining ground, while Abraham chose unity where God's voice could be found.
A sacrifice of selfless heart, a covenant keeper's way, to lose an earthly measure is to win in heaven's day.
For Abraham saw deeper things the world could not behold,
That peace will bless 1,000 years, but strife grows harsh and cold. The hand that ended the war, this is hand that ended the war. A heart surrendered to the Lord.
a man who trusted God to give all that he needed yet to live. For every land and promised shore was his through covenant evermore,
Because he knelt not fought before,
with the hand that ended the war.
Covered eyes see differently. Blessed are the peacemakers, Christ will later teach, for they resemble heaven's King in every act and speech. So Abraham, the friend of God, shows us a higher way
To heal the wounds contention makes and chase
the hate away.
Heaven's witness,
Heaven's witness, this is mercy flows, where humble, faithful courage grows, and angels wrote in books afar. Greatness shines where peacemakers are. For nations rose forevermore from the hand that ended the war.
The stone in his hands, he knelt upon the desert floor. The wind around him stilled, a single stone held gently, with a purpose God had willed. The mountains watched in silence, the heavens leaned to see, as Abraham, God's chosen friend, shaped ancient prophecy.
His hands were worn and trembling, his heart was full and sore, but still he built an altar for the God whom he adored.
Oh, Abraham, when all the world felt strange, you knelt and built an altar, and heaven didn't change. The altar that changed the world. This is the altar that changed the world, where promises were sealed, where destiny unfurled.
This is the place where heaven touched the sand, where God spoke hope into a mortal man. This is the altar, this is the prayer,
where Abraham learned that God was there. Covenant carried in dust,
he placed each stone with reverence, remembering every mile,
the journey out of bondage, the moments God made smile.
He whispered thanks for mercy, for angels on the way,
for all the unseen miracles that
filled each weary day. Mark the holy moment with the altar he prepared, a witness to his children that God had always cared. Oh, Abraham, teach us where to stand, teach us how to worship with a stone held in our hand. The altar that changed the world. This is the altar that changed the world,
where promises were sealed, where destiny unfurled.
This is the place where heaven touched the sand, where God spoke hope into a mortal man. This is the altar, this is the prayer,
where Abraham knelt and heaven listened now.
Covenant became our path, his God became our light. And though the world grows darker still, his altar shines so bright. For we are children of the promise, the seed the Lord foretold, carried by a faith more precious far than gold. beyond cell the numbers. This is the altar that changed the world, and heaven still remembers every stone that he unfurled. We kneel because he knelt before, we rise because he stood. For Abraham believed the Lord and called his promise good. So build your altar, lift your prayer, the God of Abraham is still aware. Take the stone that life has given, lay it at the feet of God. For every altar built in faith becomes holy ground we trod.
The stone, the fire, the promise. He knelt before the altar made of desert stone and dust. His hands were worn from walking, but his heart was full of trust. The fire rose before him like a whisper from the sky.
And Abraham looked upward with a quiet, trembling sigh. Every mile behind him burned with miracles and grace. Yet still he built an altar in this lonely, holy place. O God of endless power, O God of promised lands, here I stand before you with a stone still in my hands.
When the fire answered, this is the moment the fire answered. When heaven bowed to a faithful man, when Abraham laid his heart before you on an altar built with trembling hands. This is surrender,
This is devotion,
this is the covenant sealed in flame. And all the nations would rise from this moment. For Abraham believed in your holy name. Obedience in the quiet, he placed the stone beside the fire. Remembering every vow, the desert wind grew softer, as if heaven whispered now. Each sacrifice he offered was a story of the past, how God delivered, guided, saved, and strengthened him at last.
he worshipped in the silence with a flame that kissed the night. For Abraham knew sacrifice is where faith becomes sight. O God who called me forward through promise and through pain, here I raise this altar, here I speak your name.
When the fire answered, this is the moment the fire answered. Where mortal fear dissolved in faith, where the God of heaven stood beside him in the quiet, sacred place. This is surrender,
This is devotion,
this is a heart refined by flame. And through obedience the world was blessed, because Abraham believed your holy name. The fire is more than sacrifice, it's the covenant reborn. It's the promise that the nations would rise from him like morn. It's adoption into Israel, it's salvation for the meek. It's the God of all eternity, speaking through the weak. The fire still burns in every soul who kneels in faith today. devotion lights the covenant way.
When the fire answers, this is the moment the fire answered, and heaven changed the world through one. The flame that rose on Abraham's altar still burns in every daughter, every son. This is surrender. This is the calling. This is the covenant sealed in flame, and we are counted as Abraham's children when we believe in your holy name. So lift your stone, build your altar, let the fire rise again, for the God who answered Abraham still speaks to mortal men. The shadow of judgment, the sky was burning gold and gray. A trembling wind began to rise. He felt the sorrow of the heavens falling heavy from the skies. But Abraham stepped forward, a shepherd with a prophet's heart, knowing mercy sometimes lives where justice aches to start. He bowed his head, but not his hope. He dared to speak, though dust and weak, a mortal man with shaking breath. Yet heaven paused to hear him speak. The intercession. When Abraham stood before the Lord, a holy silence filled the world. One man pleading for the lost, offering love at any cost. Shall not the judge of all do right? He whispered into gathering night, and angels watched with trembling awe when Abraham stood before the Lord.
The courage of compassion, he counted downward one by one.
50 righteous wilt thou spare?
His voice was soft but iron strong.
His tears became a prayer, for he had walked with God enough to know divine compassion's call.
He'd seen the stars of promise shine
for nations great and small. Who else would plead for strangers? Who else would dare to draw so near? Yet faith is bold when born of love, and perfect love casts out all fear. The intercession.
When Abraham stood before the Lord, he'd lose himself to save the world.
No sword could fight this kind of war,
only a heart that aches for more.
Peradventure he cried once more, the heavens waiting at the door. Creation held its breath toward the man who stood before the Lord. From Mamre's tents to desert nights, the covenant shaped his soul. He learned that God remembers all, even the smallest sparrow's roll. From Hebrew scroll to Nephi's words, the prophets echo through the Faith means stepping toward the light when everything says do not trust. Book of Mormon saw a people fall, yet still he prayed for nations broken. Just like Abraham pleaded first that mercy might be spoken. Doctrine and covenants, the Lord calls peacemakers his sons, and bids us plead as Abraham pled, to stand as servants of the Lamb and lift the weary in his stead. The heavens answered when Abraham stood before the Lord. Compassion's river gently poured. Though cities fell, the story stayed, a witness to the price he paid. For every soul we choose to hold, for every prayer that's brave and bold, the heavens still record the day we learn to plead the Abraham way. Whispered, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Genesis 18:30. When the night was too quiet, the desert wind was whispering through the endless ancient sand, and Abraham stood alone again with questions in his hands. Years had carved their stories on his weathered, faithful face, but still he walked where God had led, upheld by unseen grace. Every promise felt so distant, every prayer a fragile flame, yet heaven called him gently by the echo of his name.
Come forth into the stillness, lift your eyes and see.
The future I have spoken shall be born through thee.
Oh, Abraham,
teach us to stand
when the night is long.
Teach us to trust when hope feels gone. Count the stars if you can.
Oh, count the stars if you can. Every light a promised child, every spark a covenant story written across the wild. Count the stars if you can. Your posterity will rise. Through your faith the world is blessed. Through your seed all nations find the promise of the sky. Heaven's whisper, he lifted up his weary eyes toward heaven's jeweled sea, and every star was shining with a whispered prophecy. The God who formed creation, who had shaped the dust of man, stood beside his servant, whispering, my word will always stand. Abraham felt the fire of faith burn deeper than before. He knew the God who opened every door, and there beneath the starlight, in the silence of the night, he believed, and heaven wrote his name in everlasting light. Teach us to sky. Teach us obedience is quiet strength.
Teach us obedience, quiet strength.
Oh.
Count the stars if you can.
Oh, count the stars if you can. Every light a promised child, every spark a covenant story written across the wild. Count the stars if you can. Your posterity will rise. Through your faith the world is blessed. Through your seed all nations find the promise of the sky. Tribes born of tears, through prophets and wanderings and thousands of years, the covenant lived unbroken, unchanged. For what God has spoken cannot be restrained. And now in our day that promise is ours. Same endless scars. Abraham's God remembers his word. Every prayer is heard. If you can, they are witnesses above of a God who keeps his promises with power, truth, and love. Count the stars if you can, for your life is in his hand. He will fulfill what he has spoken, just as he said to Abraham beneath the endless land. When the night grows dark, lift your eyes. He remembers. He always remembers. Of a life lived in covenant, his eyes look toward the heavens, where the stars once spoke his name, where God had whispered promises before the world ever came.
His beard is silver wisdom now, his hands aligned with grace. For Abraham has walked with God across time's longest place. He's seen the child of laughter come, he's seen the barren bloom, he's seen the covenant unfold beyond an empty tomb. O God of ancient wonders, O God of desert skies, you held me through the waiting, you heard my father's cries. The God who kept every promise, here stands a pilgrim of the ages, a witness of unfailing light. Through every trial, through every shadow, your word still held me in the night. You kept your promise, you kept your covenant, through wandering roads and tears unplanned. And now I testify forever, you are the God who keeps his promises to man.
Remembering the journey, he remembers leaving everything. At a voice that shook his soul,
He remembers lifting Isaac on a mountain hard and cold. He remembers angels by his side, the stars that marked his place, the moments when he knelt alone and heaven met him face to face. Every step was written, every tear was known. For Abraham learned holiness on roads he walked alone. Oh God who shaped my story, oh God who called me friend, I know now every sacrifice was leading to your end. The God who kept every promise, here stands a pilgrim of the ages, a witness of unfailing light. Through every trial, through every shadow, your word still held me in the night. You kept your promise, you kept your covenant, through wandering roads and tears unplanned. And now I testify forever, you are the God who keeps his promises to man. The nations rise from Isaac, the world is blessed through seed. For every kneeling soul of faith is counted Abraham's indeed. The covenant flows eternal, the priesthood line restored, and all who walk in righteousness find promises yet more. I was just a man of dust, a wanderer in sand, but you made me a father to millions, to the righteous in every land. The God who kept every name, here stands a man you called from nothing, who trusted what he could not see, a witness that your voice is faithful to all who bow the knee. You kept your promise, you kept your promise, not covenant, through joy and sorrow, loss and gain. So let the heavens and all creation declare the God who never breaks his word again. And as I breathe my final breath, my soul will rise and say, my God has kept his promises forever and always. In the silence of the morning, where the fields breathe ancient light, a shepherd stands unbroken, his soul prepared to fight. His staff is worn with journeying, his hands are scarred with grace, for Abraham has followed God.
Across 1,000 sacred places, the sheep move in the valley, the cattle graze behind, yet his eyes are lifted heavenward, for the voice that shaped mankind. Have the words straight out together. Oh God, who called me from my homeland, who broke my chains of fear.
I walk the plains you've given, for I know that you are near. The call into the unknown, I will go where you will lead me. Across the mountains, through the sand, I will trust the God who promised to make a mighty nation from my hand. I will rise though nights grow darker, I will stand when I am all alone, for I am bound by holy covenant to the God who calls me into the great unknown. Keeper of the covenant, he remembers leaving comfort, leaving family, leaving home. He remembers hearing Yahweh say, walk with me, you won't walk alone. He remembers fires in Egypt, angels guiding him away. He remembers Lot delivered by a God who hears him pray. Every step has forged the promise that the nations yet will see. For Abraham's obedience became a doorway unto thee. Oh, God of stars and endless mercy, who numbers every grain of sand, you steady all my trembling, you hold my future in your hand. The call to the unknown, I will go where you will lead me. Across the mountains, through the sand, I will trust the God who promised to make a mighty nation from my hand. I will rise though nights grow darker, I will stand when I am all alone, for I am bound by holy covenant to the God who calls me into the great unknown. A shepherd who became a father to nations, from flocks beneath the quiet hills to kingdoms not yet born, from tents raised in the wilderness to hearts forever torn. My life became a witness that faith is more than sight, that God can turn a wanderer into a pillar of his light. Let all who fear tomorrow hear the words I've come to know. The God who guides the shepherd guides the nations as they grow. Abraham's eternal testimony, I have gone where he has led me, through every storm, through every land. I have trusted in his promise when I could not understand, yet he kept me in the darkness, he upheld me as his own. I testify forever, blessed is the God who calls us into the great unknown. And still the shepherd stands there, staff and covenant in hand, a witness that the faithful will
hand. In the heat of the day, when the sun stood still, 3 travelers walked from the far-off hill.
Abraham rose with a heart untied, with love unforced and faith inspired. He ran to meet them where dust meets sky, bowed himself low, no questions why.
He said, "Come rest, come eat, come stay.
My door is open, you are safe today."
He did not know the world would see that angels came in humility.
A prophet's heart became the gate
Where heaven walked through Abraham's faith.
entertaining angels unaware. When Abraham opened his door to heaven, the desert bloomed with grace unshaken. Kindness turned to prophecy, love unlocked eternity. A simple meal became the sign of promises in God's design.
When Abraham opened his door to heaven, the Lord himself walked in. The blessings spoke behind the veil, where longing lived in every breath.
Years of silence, womb of hope, dreams laid quiet, close to death. Yet from the lips of strangers came the promise sealed in God's own name. By this time next year you will rise, holding laughter in your arms, a son of covenant, promise bride.
Sarah wept in disbelief, but God spoke truth beyond her grief.
Is anything too hard for me? He breaks the chains of history. Entertaining angels unaware. When Abraham opened his door to heaven, the desert bloomed with grace unshaken. Kindness turned to prophecy, love unlocked eternity. A barren heart began to glow, for God had spoken long ago. When Abraham opened his door to heaven, the Lord himself walked in.
From the Old Testament we learn, be not forgetful to entertain strangers,
For thereby some have entertained angels unaware.
From Genesis 18,
The story unfolds. Hospitality became a divine appointment.
from the pearl of great price,
Abraham's seed was ordained to bless nations, and hospitality became the first chapter of that mission.
from the Book of Mormon we see covenant fulfillment.
In thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed.
From the doctrine and covenants we learn,
I, the Lord, am bound when ye do what I say.
God bound himself to Abraham,
Because Abraham bound his heart to others. So let your door be open wide, let mercy be your truest pride. For heaven walks where kindness